or something.
Mute yourself.
So you guys, we're going to kick it off. I'm going to go ahead and pass it to the awesome, the amazing Gabriel Rodriguez. Go ahead, Gabe. It's on you.
What's up, y'all? You know, I tell you, man, you know, we do this every month-end conversations, month-end plays. My fear is that a lot of you take this for granted. These are my favorite trainings, always have been. I used to love listening to Shaq and Samir go over this kind of stuff. Number one, because, hey, I can always use a little motivation personally. I can always use that drive. It's like that coach, you know, right before the 2-minute warning, kind of ensuring that you're ready to play, that you're ready to go into the game and do what you have to do. So don't take it for granted. And look, the reality is there's still a lot of time left. A lot can be accomplished in the next 3 days. Today, Sunday, Monday to midnight. You know, a quick story, Tanya and I, when we were brand new in the business, and it was really just her and I within Samir's team. And there was, I think Samir at the time was a division, Shaq was a regional leader, and there was a huge goal that we set. And between her and I, in one day, Shay, we did 4,500 in premium. In one day, right? Just going out and just literally, I remember driving all day, everywhere, trying to make something happen. So a lot can be accomplished if you push the right way. So look, guys, month end is not really just about pushing and hitting your goals. A lot of this is about setting the foundation and becoming a person of character, you know, because you develop a certain mindset, you develop a certain thought process. You know, legends are made in the fourth quarter, as they say. There's a great story with Kobe Bryant told by Iman Shumpert, who was at the time playing for the New York Knicks. And he was kind of a rookie. I think it was the second year. He is known as a great defender. And he was covering Kobe Bryant in that game. This was around Linsanity time. I don't know if you guys know any of that, but it was up to the third quarter, and Shumpert already had a steal on him, had more points than him, scored all over the place on him, everything. And as the fourth quarter started, Shay, Kobe came and told him, hey, nice job, young man, but it's my time now. Right? Hey, legends are made and born in the fourth quarter, right? So you're setting the example, right? The example that Ismalda are doing, that her brother are setting right now for us. Don't ever forget that you're setting the example, good and bad, right? So you are the proof that this business works or doesn't work, plain and simple. So if you're already thinking next month with 3 long days left, you've missed the boat. I mean, you can't come to that thought process at all. You have to push all the way through. Do not back down, right? One thing I want to mention, guys, the mentality as far as pushing all the way to the end really starts at recruiting. Right? There's an old saying in our company that all the greats have said and continue to say, recruiting solves all problems. I'll give you a quick example. You know, so about 10 years ago, when I first moved back to New York, I prospected a gentleman, and actually Tanya prospected him in Staples. His name was Brad Wilson. Now, Brad Wilson, believe it or not, was the gentleman who initially introduced us to Mr. and Mrs. Elliott back then, right? And so we recruited him. He was one of our first recruits when we came back here to New York. He got licensed and everything, and he was going out with a young lady named Dominique. So anyway, you know, they got together, became clients, so on and so forth, recruited him, and he kind of went away from the business. 6 years later, we recruited, actually probably longer than that, 7, 8 years later, recruited Mr. and Mrs. Elliott because they've been clients for that long. And I just caught up with her again on Facebook. Now she's a mom of 2 little ones, married to Brad. They still together. I met with her on Thursday. I think I was telling Shay this. Just stopping by, met with her, went over stuff with her, and guess what? Became a recruit. She already has 2 appointments set, one for today, one for Monday, right? So from recruiting, we have another 2 potential sales coming on. And here's what she told me. I know so many people now that are just starting to have families. Because at the time, she was newly married. She was actually, I don't think they were married yet. She was 18, 19 years old. Now she's 27, 28 years old, right? Having a family. So you never know, guys. Recruiting can solve all your problems, right? And never forget, it is a privilege. Don't ever mistake that. To me, it's something that I hold dear, right? When people say, you know what, Shay, you know what, Jen Lee, I'm going to depend and trust you to help me live a better lifestyle. So don't ever forget that part. It is a privilege to be able to recruit people right now. There is a difference between being self-employed and being in business for yourself and being a business in building a business. Self-employment means you still doing everything. Now, for a period of time, you have to do that here. You know, and why do you have to go out and write $10,000 a month in premium consistently? Why do you have to do it outside of being an example? Why? Because you got a family to feed. Because you got to go out and get the bag for who? For your family. You got to prove to your spouse, if they're not in the business, that it works. You have to write checks to pay bills, right? You got to prove it to yourself. That's why you got to go out and write $10,000 a month personally and then teach it. When you do that, you're not going to have any problems in this business. Really, you're not, right? So leveraging the environment, leveraging this is critical, guys. Building that energy, that drive, that belief that you can go out and finish and close out your goals, right? You know, Tanya Poe talks about being an ink setter for goals, not just writing it in pencil, because in pencil you can always erase it. When you write your goals in ink, man, that's what it is. You got to go out and hit them, go out and drive to finish it off, right? Having the mentality of changing someone's life today. Guys, sometimes, you know, the urgency required to ensure that people are out there, ensure that their families are protected, that their children are protected is everything, right? You hear examples all the time with Shay, myself, Jen Lee, and a lot of the other families here. Example after example of things that have occurred that if you were there a week earlier, the family could have been okay. So don't ever forget that part of it, right? So make sure you're protecting them. Now, I want to cover kind of a general conversation you can have when you're recruiting in the last few days, really throughout the process. But, you know, number one, your best and strongest recruits are your clients. Always remember that. Why? Because half the job is done. Half of the sale is done. They're your clients. They're already trusting you and the company to make sure their families are taken care of. So half the battle is already gone. And this, by the way, I got from Tanya Poe. Before finishing, and she probably got it from Hector Lamarcus, I hear a lot of that in him. You know, before they finished, so once they finished the appointment, you got this, you protected the family, you got the commitment to come back to maybe do investments or help them in the different ways. Right before you leave, here's something you can say, hey, how long have we spent together so far, right? About an hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe half an hour, whatever the time is. Would you like to know how I get compensated? Right? If they say no, then you stop recruiting them. At that point, just stop recruiting. There's no reason for it, right? Now, what you need to do instead is, hey, so at this time, I would like to give you about a list. Did I put a list? Oh, yeah, at least 10 referrals of people that you feel deserve the opportunity to hear the same information you just heard, right? Get emergency contacts, get referrals. And notice, right, and this I got really from Jen Lee, right, that mentality of, I need you to give me, not can you give me, not would you give me. I need you to give me. Say it with confidence. Say it with respect. Say it like, I've earned these referrals. Have the expectation that that's what they're going to give you, right? And if they say yes, hey, sit down quickly and show them a version of a quick version of compensation at a 50% contract, at a regional leader, at an RVP contract if you're an RVP. Show them the kind of money you can earn and show it relative to how they can do it by simply slowly starting, right? By this point, you already have an idea of their situation at work, of their job, and maybe how much they hate what they do. You already have an idea of that. So take advantage of it. Bring all that back, right? Bring it full circle. Set up a Zoom within 24 hours to discuss further details. Chat about becoming maybe how you call it, secret, I can remember now. You know what I mean, right? Just a secret person. What's it called? My brain is going 50 miles an hour. I'll come back in a second, right? So have a standard and a belief in recruiting, guys. You have to believe that. Look, to me, I was talking to to Dominique, and I was telling her, my goal is freedom. I don't want to be doing this 2-3 years from now to the same extent. I don't. I'll be honest, man. I'm going to have 5 children. Tanya and I want to have a great lifestyle. And this is about options for us. It's about options, right? And that only comes from recruiting. Otherwise, we got to keep selling, right? Post activity, build an environment, right? Jenny has a great training on that, right? On the standard hierarchy. Go back and listen to that. On building an environment through Zoom, right? Be accountable, be coachable, right? I love it. Shay and I started this accountability with each other every day. We just tell each other what we're up to and what we're doing, right? Leverage your upline. Master prospecting. We've been doing a lot of that, Tanya and I, lately. I know Shay's been doing that. Jen Lee does that all the time. Talking to people out in the field, right? Well, we have so many things to do with the kids. We're just going to start talking to families right there, right? And then master recruiting. I can go over some examples of that towards the end if we have time, of some of the things that we say and how we say it to kind of just get some context, right? So, and don't forget, guys, $49 IBA, right? Leverage that for the next 3 days. $49. We don't know if that's going to be the case in August. Leverage it quickly, all right? So I'm going to pass it along to Shay. Let's go.
Man, that was good, Gabe. I just want to piggyback off of the recruiting conversations. You guys heard Esmeralda say that she's been around the business for 2 years, but it wasn't the right time when her brother spoke to her, right? No means not right now when you're talking about these recruiting conversations. And oftentimes we all forget that. No means not right now, you all. Go back to that person, right? That's a sibling. She saw it. She's been around it for 2 years. Now she comes in, boom, 30 days, first month license, does 10,000 in the business. That's incredible, right? And then the other thing is, do everything for a period of time. I remember when we went to Millionaires in Training, Jim Coker said, do it until 500,000. That's where Shaq's out, for all of you who don't know that, right? He said, do the 10,000 personal consistently, Shay, not every now and again, every single daggone month, until you get to 500,000, and this thing will roll on its own. Watch Shaq, look at Shaq. It rolls on its own. Doesn't matter what's going on in Shaq's life. This thing is running on its own at 500,000. Do it for a period of time, right? Recruit the sale. Recruit the sale, right? I've been talking to Eric Davis a lot lately just about recruiting the clients. He told me, now do what you want to do. I'm just telling you what the $1 Million Earner said, did it in 10 years, 500,000 in 5 years. He said, if Tanya Poe would not have showed him how much she made, he would not have done this, right? On top of, he said, Shay, I needed the insurance, but I also needed to pay that tax bill. That was $4,000. His first month of license, he made like $4,400. Recruit the daggum sale. They make the best clients. You understand that? Shaq came and sat with me. I had a whole life policy. He floored me. I was like, oh, well, shoot. A lot of people had this. My whole family has this because grandma said get it, but grandma obviously didn't know what it was, right? Recruit the sale. They're 50% in. They understand it. If they don't have it, if they don't have enough, or if they have the wrong kind, or if they have group insurance, right, which is the wrong kind, recruit the sale. That's huge. Month end close, urgency, week, Shay, you got to have a sense of urgency. I'm talking to myself, right? Sense of urgency, sense of urgency, sense of urgency. Writing 10,000 personal your first 30 days license is having a sense of urgency. Do you have that? Are you urgent or are you scared to pick up the phone? Right? No means not right now, you all. You got to have that sense of urgency. The way you have a sense of urgency is you set your goals in front of you. What is your why? We consistently speak about this. What is your why? What makes you go? What pushes you forward? It has to be everywhere. It has to be on your mirror. It has to be on your laptop, on your devices, right? On the side of your bed, in your car, right? In your bathroom, in your kitchen, in your living room, in your dining room. It has to be everywhere. What is it that wakes you up and gets you going? What is it? Man, I had a throbbing headache this morning. I woke up, my head was throbbing. The moment I looked at my goals, I jumped up. I literally jumped up and went and walked my dog and turned on some Tanya Poe. My head is still throbbing, but my goals are way more important than my stupid headache. You understand that? You got to keep going no matter what. What is it that you can have a sense of urgency? What is in your pipeline? Man, Josh did like an hour training for us on recruiting last night. I pulled up all of my prospects. He showed us a $3,000 prospecting list, Gabe. 3,000 contacts. I was like, what in the world? And then he was like, I haven't even called all of them. I'm like, okay, you know what? 3,000 prospects. What is your pipeline? What is my pipeline? I've started it last night. I got to get to 3,000 like Josh. That's incredible, right? Qualifying at your level, be a respectful district. 3 by 2,500. That's a respectful district. Be a respectful division, 5 by 5,000. A respectful regional leader, 7 by 7,500. A respectful RVP, 10 by 10, the bare minimum, right? Now, you know, Tanya Poe talks about how the company has these accolades of you know, being the qualifying RVP, the qualifying regional. That's the bare minimum. Now, should we be doing more? Absolutely. I have no business just doing 10 by 10. I should be doing way more than that. But qualify at your level so you can at least hold your head up a little bit, right? And not hold it down at the end of the month because you didn't qualify, which is the bare minimum. Personal cash flow. This is huge. Do you calculate what you need to make every single month, right? So you can at least pay your bills and then work backwards. How do I get to this? What do I have to make, right? 50,000, you know what you're doing. 100K, you're a pro. Bruce Koch always talks about this. I spoke about this last time. He said, Shannon, you're just not a pro yet. You're not 100,000. You're not a pro, right? And I'm like, you're not a pro. 50,000. You know what you're doing, y'all. You know what you're doing, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start, okay, what is it that I need to make every single month to pay my bills so I can get off this daggum job? Gabby, you got to quit the job in your mind first, right? You got to leave mentally before you can leave physically. The way you leave mentally is by writing down how much money you need to make, and then you go after it. You do that for about 3 to 6 months, save, which is important, and then you quit the daggum job. Quit it in your mind first so you can leave physically, right? Personal and team goal. What is your personal goal? Because I believe you have to lead from the front. I was told by $1 million earner, they don't care what you did, they care about what you're doing right now. Nobody cares until you get to at least 500,000. That's what I was told by $2 million earners. At least 500,000. They don't care about what you did. They care about what are you doing right now. How many personal recruits do you have? How much personal premium do you have? How much cash did you make? And then your team goal. When you lead from the front with your personal goal, you can lead your team in recruiting and premium, right? And licensing and cash flow. And then it becomes a big team goal, and you go up and your team goes up with you. Put them on your back. Let's go. It's time to go. Personal and team goal. Office and company incentive. We have the Chima Brazilian Steakhouse, right? I don't know about y'all. I've been there a couple of times, but it was on my dime. I want to go on the company's dime, right? 3 by 3,000. Has anyone ever been to Chima Brazilian Steakhouse? Raise your hand right now. Has anyone ever been there? Right? Get there. And not only that, you're going with the winners. Yes, 3 by 3,000. You got to do by midnight as of last weekend, right? So you got to do 3 by 3,000. Go and get the experience and go get around and hang around the Jen Lees, the Joshua Perez's, the Shondell Dobies. I don't know if Gabe and Tanya are coming, but Gabe and Tanya, right? Isralda, Ismaldo. Go and get around these people. I remember about 3 years ago, I did an incentive. I won an incentive. I wasn't doing anything. I mean, 0 by 0 by 0, month after month, right? Been there, done that. It's not fun. And Shaq said, win this incentive with Bruce Koch. Won the incentive, and I'll never forget it, right? I won the incentive, and Bruce Koch said, Shay, right? I asked him a question. I said, Bruce, what do you do when you've been here for so long, right? You got the big old gorilla on your back. You're like, man, I've been here all this time. Nothing is happening, right? One of the things he said, well, Shay, it's either this or you work a job until you die. That's the first thing, which is very true. So remember, it don't matter how long it takes in Primerica, it's still faster than the daggum job. You understand that? Most people will die on the job and never save and never have a lifestyle, right? He says, you got to think about today and move forward and don't worry about the past. I cannot worry about the past. It's about today and moving forward, right? So win the incentive. And then obviously the company incentive, right? Marco Island and Hawaii. I remember I took Jada to Hawaii a few years back. She was 10 years old. That is an experience she will never, ever forget. I never did that with my mom. God bless her soul. Never. 5 hours from here to California, 5 hours to Hawaii, 10 hours flying with my daughter, talking about life, having a lifestyle, living the dream. How amazing would that be if you can win Hawaii or even Marco Island? Because guess what? It's on the company's dime. That's exciting. So when you're going after your goals, think about this. Think about the office incentive, because first and foremost, you got to start killing it in the hierarchy. Then you got to go after the state, and then you got to go after the country. That's how you win the company incentive. Next slide, Jen. Know how much time is left on the clock. You got to size it up. We got 3 days. And just like Gabe said, a lot can happen in 3 days. Don't think like an employee and take time off on the weekend. You got 3 days. Whatever it is you're doing, you got to be talking to people. One of the things that Josh said, which stood out to me, he said everywhere he goes, he's talking to someone. And I knew that, right? That's a no-brainer. Everywhere I go, I need to talk to someone, but it's not consistently. His is consistent. That's why he does what he does in recruiting.